Hey film fans, welcome to Cine Pro, your ultimate hub for all movie recaps, from heartwarming classics to the latest blockbusters. Before we begin our story, I want to inform you that this will be the second season of the Squid Game series. The story continues in the second season with Si Young, who is at the airport and something happens with the game's owner. He tells him that he won't travel and that he will return to expose them. He leaves the place, gets into a taxi, and wonders how they always know his location wherever he goes. He concludes that they placed a GPS device on him, and indeed, he continues to investigate until he discovers it in his ear. He manages to remove it and begins to develop a plan. On the other hand, we see the officer who may not have died because after he discovered that his brother was the one who was managing the game and he shot him in the shoulder and fell into the sea. Someone found him and took him to the hospital. After this incident, 2 years passed and the officer now left his job at the police station and works in traffic. We see one in situation like this and he give him a ticket, but the boy's girlfriend was very impressed with the officer and was trying to get close to him and such, but he didn't pay her any attention, and this made her friend very upset, so he left and walked away. And when she knew that she lost both of them, she tried to run after her lover, and the officer kept laughing at this situation, and his manager later stopped him and took him to lunch. He keeps telling him that he searched everywhere for the island he talked about, but he didn't find anything, nor did he find the people behind the game, and that no one believes him, and there is no proof against them. He asks him if he knows who is running the game, and even though he knows that it is his brother, he refuses to say so. Then we see Si Young, who is in his room, and suddenly finds someone knocking, and the game card is in front of him. He opens it and finds the game manager, so he grabs a gun and kills him with all his might. But he suddenly wakes up from his sleep. He was originally dreaming, and now he is devoting his life to searching for these people, and he enlists the help of someone who assists him in tracking and identifying the culprits. This person also helps him identify the individual who distributes the game cards in the subway. He tells him that he has been searching for 2 years and hasn't found anyone matching the description. He was unable to reach him, but he paid a large sum of money and is asked to search for him again. Si Young is determined to find these people by any means because they have killed many innocent people. The man then leaves and meets with his team, taking them to their headquarters where he explains the plan. He describes the man in the suit, carrying a briefcase, who looks for desperate people and invites them to play a game, giving them money and the game card. He explains in detail what they need to do and deploys them across the country. They search for the man in the suit everywhere, even photographing anyone who resembles him. However, they still can't find anything, and even the officer continues searching. Later, the officer goes to the man who once saved him from death, a ship captain, and together they search all the islands in the sea, as he doesn't remember the exact location of the island. But still, they find nothing. Even Si Young's team starts losing hope of finding the man in the suit. But suddenly, they spot him and take a photo, sending it to Si Young, who tells them to keep an eye on him as he will come immediately. Si Young rushes through the city at full speed, while his men continue to follow the man in the suit. They see him buying a lottery ticket and later offering it to some homeless people along with food. The homeless choose the lottery ticket but end up losing. Si Young continues to rush, but is stopped by a police officer for speeding and fined. Meanwhile, the man in the suit gets into a taxi and leaves, with Si Young's men still following him. At this point, the officer notices Si Young's license and recognizes him, as he had seen his name in the game's files earlier. He goes to his headquarters, searches for his name, and finds out where he lives. Meanwhile, Si Young's men are still trailing the man in the suit, following him into a strange place, but keeping their distance so as not to lose him. They try to catch him before he escapes, but he overpowers them and knocks them out. He then reaches his destination and looks for them everywhere, but they are nowhere to be found. He finds a knife and feels guilty for the deaths caused by others, but the man in the suit had kidnapped them and was beating them. He tells them, "Let's play a game. We'll put 1 bullet in this revolver, spin the chamber, and take turns shooting to see who dies." The situation becomes intense. He fires the first shot, but the chamber is empty. He keeps trying, but nothing happens. Finally, he says, "I'm bored. Let's make the game more exciting. We'll load more bullets and leave only 1 empty chamber." They play rock, paper, scissors, and one of them loses. So he shoots him and interrogates the other, finding out he was sent to follow him. Meanwhile, Si Young returns to the hotel where he's staying, only to find the man in the suit waiting for him. The man says, "I heard you're looking for me, so I saved you time and effort and came to you myself." Si Young replies, "I'll do everything I can to stop this game and take you all down." The man responds, "You think you can end this so easily? You have no idea who you're dealing with. You'll never reach them. Imagine having control over people and watching them kill each other for money. It's thrilling." He adds, "To them, you're just a puppet they're playing with. Once you're done, they'll get rid of you." Si Young retorts, "But you also participated in the competition, so you're a puppet too. And and willingly at that. The man says, "Look, I have something for you in my pocket. We'll play with the revolver. If you win, you'll get it. It will lead you to what you want." Si-young loads one bullet, spins the chamber, and fires, but nothing happens. He tries on himself, but again, nothing happens. He keeps trying until the second to last bullet, but it's empty. The final shot is meant for the man in the suit, and he ends up dying. At that moment, the officer arrives. The place hears the sound of gunfire, so he runs immediately and enters the hotel. He keeps searching everywhere for Si-young until he sees one of his men tied up, who tells him that a crazy person did this to him and killed his boss. The officer moves on and goes to Si-young's room. When he sees this person dead, he thinks that he is the one who killed him. The officer decides to arrest him and handcuff him, but then an assistant comes and hits him, causing him to lose consciousness. The assistant tells him afterward that this person killed the boss, which shocks him deeply, leaving him feeling guilty because no one else is responsible. Afterward, he takes some items, including the game card. He then talks with the officer, who doesn't remember, but the officer keeps thinking to himself that he helped him in the game before. They start to realize he wasn't the one who killed that person. He tells him about the game and that he's trying to stop its creators by any means necessary. He offers to help the officer, as he's also searching for them but hasn't found any evidence. They decide to cooperate, and he releases him. They go to his house, where he shows him and his assistant all the money he won from the game. He tells them whoever helps them reach those people will get the money. The officer says he doesn't want the money, he just wants to stop them. They then go to a soundproof place under the house filled with many weapons to train and prepare for what's coming. Afterward, they leave, and Si-young visits the mother of his friend who died in the game. He sees the child she brought there because his sister also died in the game. She left him in an orphanage, but he sent him to this woman and gave her a lot of money. She treats him like her own son, and the scene deeply affects him before he leaves. Later, we see a woman named Si-on, who asks someone to search for her mother. Her mother had participated in the Squid Game and died, but she doesn't know that yet. She gives him a lot of money to continue searching for her and then leaves to go to her job at an amusement park. She gives a little girl a gift, making her very happy. She later meets the girl again, decides to draw her portrait, and returns the gift. The girl's father then comes, takes her, and leaves. He also works there as an artist to earn money because his daughter is sick. He tries to make any money he can. At that moment, his daughter becomes very ill and her condition worsens. He takes her to the hospital, but the doctor tells him she needs immediate surgery or she will die. He doesn't have any money and doesn't know what to do, as his daughter is on the brink of death. Meanwhile, we see Si-on sitting in her car when she receives a card from the Squid Game, inviting her to participate. The officer is now with his mother, who is very sad and believes her son abandoned them because he doesn't want to know them. But the officer tells her he will search for him and bring him back. Si-young then gets a tracking device and places it in his tooth so that when he enters the game, the officer can locate him. He gathers many people to train and prepare for what's coming. Before starting anything, he calls his daughter to check on her because he doesn't know if he will survive. However, he can't bring himself to talk to her and hangs up, feeling deeply emotional. They then look at the address written on the card, as people say the game will take them from there. They go there immediately, which turns out to be a nightclub. His assistant goes in with him, wearing a mask, while the officer waits outside to arrest the game's organizers when they appear. They eventually arrive, wearing the game's uniforms. The officer tries to follow them into the nightclub, but security stops him. He threatens them, revealing he's an officer. One of the game members then approaches Si-young and tells him to come with them. They electrocute his assistant, and he goes with them. They leave the place and get into a car. The officer learns what happened, but doesn't know how to catch up with them. He decides to track them using GPS. We then see Si-young and hear the voice of the game's organizer speaking to him through the device in front of him. He warns him to travel, enjoy the money, and forget about them. Si-young replies that he will keep pursuing them because they are stealing people's lives, exploiting their needs, and destroying them. The officer and Si-young's men continue to follow him. However, some of the game's people start attacking their cars, delaying them. The game's leader tells them it's not that easy to catch them. They keep attacking the officer's car, but it's bulletproof. At that moment, he realizes he can't defeat them and tells the game's leader he wants to participate. The leader reminds him that he wanted to stop them, but agrees to his request. Gas is released, putting him to sleep. We then see Si-on also being taken to the game's location. However, we discover that she will participate not as a player, but as one of the security members. The officer continues to track Si-young and searches for him everywhere. Si-young wakes up to find himself in the middle of the game with the same number he had before, 456. A woman approaches him, saying he seems burdened with guilt and asks if he feels remorse. She claims to understand people well. The security team then enters to welcome the contestants, asking them to remove their masks, but they refuse. They explain the rules of the game, which are already known from the first season, and reveal that the prize will be billions. Among the contestants are a boy and his mother, who are shocked to find themselves there because they are deeply in debt and want to pay it off. They are then shown videos of themselves and the representative who gave them the money, telling them they were in debt and struggling in life. The prize, they say, will fulfill all their dreams. They are told that after each game, the money will be deposited into the prize fund. This game has a lot of fans, including a famous YouTuber who has faced many hardships and debts in his life. They all sign the game's contract and proceed for their pictures to be taken. Afterward, the first game begins. They all enter a room, and the game involves the doll. Meanwhile, the officer manages to track Si-young's location and reaches the island. He releases a drone to capture images of the area, but finds nothing. He continues following the GPS until he discovers that the game organizers had abandoned him, and Si-young is very upset because until now, the officer hasn't arrived. He removes the tracking device in his teeth and finds it empty, realizing they figured out his deception. He understands that no one is coming, and he must rely on himself to survive. He starts telling the contestants to listen to him because he had participated in the game before. He warns them that if they move and the doll sees them, they will be eliminated. They begin to trust and follow his lead. He reminds them they are in a game, not a war, and the game is being monitored with guns and guards everywhere. The time starts, and he instructs them to move and stop only when he tells them, warning them not to act impulsively or they will die. The doll turns, but no one moves. He keeps giving them instructions on how and when to move. At one point, a bee lands on a girl, and the annoying singer scares her, making her move. The sniper eliminates her. The place turns into chaos, and they begins to run, and the snipers keep finishing them off one by one. So he stops and makes people stand behind him so that if someone moves, the doll won't notice. And this stupid guy keeps pushing people so that they fall and die, and he enjoys this very much. And Si-young keeps finishing off the people who move, but she's surprised with the painter whose his daughter gave her the gift is here to treat his daughter. The doll continues to turn, and the contestants run as fast as they can to cross the line before they die. Many of them manage to cross, but a large number die. The first game ends, and the contestants return to the room, sitting in fear and disbelief over what happened. An old woman begs the guards to let her and her son leave because she doesn't want him to die. Everyone pleads the same. The guards respond, saying they weren't forced to come. They came of their own free will. Si-young refers to the third rule, which states that if the majority votes at the end of the game will end. The guards agree, and they activate a device with a circle and an X. Those who refuse will vote on the X, and those who agree will vote on the circle. They are asked to see the prize first, 9 billion. Everyone is shocked by the amount, and many are tempted to continue. The soldier tells them to start voting. Si-young votes against continuing. The participants vote until the result is tied, leaving one person, player number 1, whose vote will decide the outcome. He votes for the game to continue, surprising everyone. The big twist is that player number 1 is actually the game's organizer who decided to join the game himself without anyone knowing. The guards then collect the bodies of those who died, placing them in coffins. They also provide food and water for the survivors. Si-young feels helpless and doesn't know what to do, realizing the disaster he's involved in. Someone tells him, "Imagine if you win this money, you can pay off all your debts." Si-young angrily responds, "Are you crazy? You don't care about people's lives, only your debts? Someone like you said the same thing in the previous game and died." The contestants ask Si-young to help them because he has experience having won the game before. Player number 1 keeps asking him what the next game will be, though they don't know he's the mastermind. Si-young tells them the next game involves shapes on honeycomb candy and advises them to choose the triangle as it's the easiest, warning that the umbrella shape is the hardest. One participant asks, who would choose the umbrella? Si-young replies, "I chose it and succeeded." Others suggest not telling everyone about the triangle so more people die and the prize increases. Si-young retorts, "Are you insane? I'm trying to help, not get people killed. These people are innocent." An older woman gives food to a pregnant girl, telling her to ask for help if needed. Player number 1 approaches Si-young, asking why he returned to the game despite having money. Si-young explains that the money came at the cost of many lives, calling it a curse rather than a blessing. He warns them about the dangers of continuing the game. Elsewhere, a singer annoys a YouTuber, throwing food at him. Another participant intervenes, but the singer attacks him. Player number 1 warns him, saying, "This isn't manly." The singer tries to intimidate him, but he fights back, defeating everyone and showing his skills. He warns them not to harm anyone else or cause trouble, earning respect and applause from everyone. Meanwhile, a woman reflects on the artist who joined the game to save his daughter, wondering how she would survive if something happened to him. She regrets her decision to join the game. At night, while everyone is asleep, Si-young sits alone. Player number 1 approaches him, apologizing for how he spoke earlier and starts sharing his story. He claims he had a daughter who became ill, and despite borrowing a lot of money and trying everything, he couldn't save her. He says he joined the competition to pay for her treatment. On another front, the guards are seen taking the bodies of the dead to harvest their organs for sale. However, they discover that someone shot multiple bullets, rendering the organs unusable. The guards report this to the manager, who learns that Se-young was responsible. The manager summons her to his office and confronts her for disobeying orders. She explains that she was only easing the pain of the dying. The manager responds, saying, "These people were already dead. We take their organs to help others who want to live. We benefit," but she refuses, and he tells her that she will not follow these orders. She leaves, and the next day, we see the officer going to his superior, informing him that the game has returned again and that they must stop them at any cost. However, they don't believe him and tell him there is no evidence. He says he doesn't even have a single piece of evidence about these people or their location, nor can he arrest them. He becomes very frustrated and and feels like leaving the place. He talks to Sai Young's men to help him and tries to figure out how they can reach Sai Young. He tells them he will stay here with a few others to try and find any evidence leading to the people, while the rest should go to the ship's captain and search all the islands. Whoever finds anything should inform the others. And indeed, one person goes to the captain. Meanwhile, in the game, we see that the series game has changed and become more difficult. All the contestants go to Sai Young and blame him because they followed him. But suddenly, he wakes up from his sleep, realizing it was just a dream. Afterward, all the participants wake up. We see the girl going to the YouTuber, and we learn that he is the father of her unborn child, but refuses to acknowledge it, acting very cruelly. At that moment, the guards come in and inform them that the second game is about to begin. They take everyone to the location of the second game, which turns out to have indeed changed. Si Young has no idea what this game is, and is told they must form a team of 5 people. People become angry with Sai Young, thinking he deceived them, but he tells them the truth that the game has changed. However, they leave him, and he is left alone. Contestant number 1 comes to him and stands by his side, warning anyone who approaches that they will have to deal with him. They form a team together, and 2 others join them. All the contestants start gathering their teams of 5. The YouTuber goes to the pregnant girl and asks her to join him, but she refuses as she no longer trusts him. Some people refuse to let the old woman join them and ask her son to come with them and leave her behind, but he refuses. She tells him to go and save his life, but he refuses. The pregnant girl then goes to Si Young's team, wanting to join them. She tells them she is pregnant, and they agree. The 10 minutes end, and the game begins. The game consists of 5 challenges, with each team member playing 1 game. If they fail to complete the task within the time limit, they will be eliminated. They start dividing the games among themselves. The first game is flipping a card. The second is stacking stones, where the stones must fall. The third involves throwing stones and catching them on the back of your hand, then throwing them all and catching them again. The fourth is a spinning rope game, where you must make it spin continuously. The last is a ball-like game, where you must bounce it 5 times on your foot. The first 2 teams fail, and the guards come and eliminate them all. This terrifies the remaining participants. The guards come to take the bodies in coffins, and if anyone is still alive, they finish them off without mercy. The next team is the old woman's team. In the first game, she flips the card successfully. Her son plays the stone game and succeeds. The old woman throws the stones and catches them skillfully, also succeeding. The 4th team member struggles with the rope game. Time is running out, and everyone is shouting for her to hurry up or they'll die. In the end, she succeeds. The last girl bounces the ball and also succeeds. Everyone cheers for them and celebrates their success. All the teams then enter one by one, each winning in turn. The last team is Sai Young's. The pregnant girl flips the card, the boy plays the stone game, and the 3rd member also succeeds. Contestant number 1 tries the rope game, but fails twice. On the 3rd attempt, he finally succeeds. Sai Young bounces the ball, but on the last bounce, it almost falls to the ground. Contestant number 1 pushes it with his foot, and they manage to win. Everyone is thrilled and enters the room. However, many are upset that some people are still alive, as this means the prize money won't increase. Afterward, we see the guards. The 2 involved in harvesting organs are very upset and go to confront her. They warn her not to interfere again, or they will kill her. One of the cameras hides what are doing, and they tell her that if she ruins their work again, they will come back and kill her. They leave the area. The guards then come to the participants and inform them that after the latest deaths, each person's share is now 78 million. They are then given the choice to continue the game or withdraw and take the money. They start showing them the money, and their eyes light up with greed. Eventually, they all agree to continue the game. They go to sleep, and someone suggests they remain vigilant because someone might try to kill them while they sleep to reduce the numbers. They decide to take turns staying awake, but the night passes without incident. The next day, they go to the next game. They are taken to a spinning platform and told to form groups. When the number is called, they must enter the designated doors. A song plays, and when it stops, they call out the number 10. Groups of 10 enter the rooms, and anyone left outside is eliminated by the guards. Sai Young watches all this in shock, unable to do anything, feeling even more guilty. They are taken back to the spinning platform. The song plays and stops. This time, the number 4 is called. Groups of 4 rush into designated rooms, and anyone who doesn't make it is immediately eliminated by the guards. We see a room where only 3 entered instead of 4. The guards, monitoring them through cameras, enter and eliminate them all. Sai Young is shocked by what is happening and searches everywhere for contestant number 1, eventually finding him. They proceed to the 3rd round. The platform spins, the song plays, and stops. The number 3 is called. Each team must abandon 1 member. The old woman eventually sees her son, runs to him, and they embrace, crying. They move on to the next round, where each team holds hands and spins together. The song plays and stops, and they must spin and perform until the song stops again. The number 6 is called, and everyone rushes into the rooms, leaving more people eliminated, until he finds number 1, takes the people, and enters them. And one of the team couldn't enter because the YouTuber entered and she died. And when she sees her friend, she collapses as she was about to die. So he said to her, "I want want to live my life like you all. Then they go to the next round. Number 1 concludes that the number will be 2 because they need to eliminate half of the people present. And indeed, his words turn out to be true. Everyone keeps running and pushing each other to save their lives by any means. But number 1 enters with 2. He grabs 1 and finishes him off. Thus, only 2 remain alive so they don't die. The game ends after that. They return to their leaders. The YouTuber guy tries to talk to his girlfriend to reconcile and get back together, but she leaves him and walks away. Later, they tell them that each one's share is now 356 million. They ask them to vote, whether to continue the game or withdraw. All participants enter and vote, but the majority chooses to continue. Then, it's number 1's turn, and he chooses to withdraw. This results in a tie. So the guards say, "All right, you have 1 day to think carefully, and we'll vote again." Meanwhile, we see the officer outside, and after much searching, he and Cy Young's men reach the island. They see a secret location ahead. They try to open it, but it turns out to be a bomb, and the game organizers trick them. It explodes on them. Back in the game, we see the contestants, and the old woman keeps saying that the money is very good and that it's better to withdraw than to die. But the greedy guy wants to win the entire prize and refuses to withdraw. The singer guy wants to kill people to reduce the number. He attacks the YouTuber and almost kills him until the YouTuber grabs a fork and finishes him off. After that, everyone keeps fighting and eliminating each other to reduce the number of people and win the big prize. The place literally turns into chaos. Meanwhile, the officer and his men are now at sea, working on developing their plan, but a storm occurs. Someone goes to check on the drone monitoring the island and finds the captain holding it and sabotaging it. He realizes the captain is a traitor, runs to report to his companions, but the captain strikes him, throws him into the water, and finishes him off. As for the game, this person tells that more people from whom wanted to continue the game died than the people whom wanted to end the game, and thus their number became greater, and this will end the game. But number 1 tells his team that he is worried that the other team would attack. They are asleep and they have to start finishing them off. Cy Young says no, they are not our enemies. The game organizers are our enemies. He tells them to listen to him because he has a plan. Night falls and the lights are dimmed. Those who want to continue the game attack the ones who don't want to. They eliminate them one by one. A large number dies. Cy Young and his team hide under the bed as part of their plan. When the guards come, they take their weapons and finish them off. Indeed, the guards arrive and a clash ensues. At this moment, Cy Young and his team enter, take the weapons, and finish off the guards one by one. They manage to eliminate a large number. One of the guards almost finishes off Song, but number 1 intervenes and saves him. They manage to overpower the guards. The game leader watches from the screens, seeing his boss, number 1, killing the soldiers, confused and not understanding why. The guards tell him to evacuate immediately, but our team captures one of them. This guy goes crazy and wants to eliminate everyone else, but Cy Young calms him down, saying, "We must unite together, not to kill each other." He then destroys the cameras. The director gathers all the soldiers in the location. Cy Young gathers the people and tells them they must take down the game organizers, make them pay, and show them the consequences of their actions. He tells those who want to join him to pick up a weapon. Many people join him, while others refuse. A policewoman there shows them how to use the weapons. Cy Young then goes to a young guard who is forced to work there. He asks him to lead them to the game organizers. The guard agrees and leads them, with the group following him. At that moment, a group of soldiers appears and starts firing at them, but the policewoman skillfully eliminates them one by one, killing a large number without any injuries to their team. They continue until they reach the control room. Cy Young tells them to open the door. They realize they need to wear a mask because it only opens with it. At that moment, a larger number of hidden soldiers appear and start firing at their team. Cy Young lets his team handle them to delay them. He uses the mask to enter the control room. He leaves a weapon at the door to prevent it from closing so the team can join him. They encounter more guards and exchange fire, eliminating them and continuing on their way. Every time they enter a place, they find more guards and deal with them. The remaining team members fight the elite guards, but their ammunition begins to run out. Number 1 takes a few people to help Cy Young, who tells him he will face the guards head-on while Number 1 flanks them to eliminate them. Number 1 agrees and hands him his remaining ammunition. They execute the plan and deal with the guards. Meanwhile, someone is gathering ammunition to bring it to the rest of the team, but he gets nervous and scared. He keeps calling out to him to bring the ammunition, but there's no response. The policewoman decides to go get it herself. Number 1 flanks them but does nothing to them and finishes off the people with him. He then contacts Cy Young, pretending to be helpless, saying he failed to kill the guards and that they killed his team. The remaining team runs out of ammunition, and the guards realize this. They surround them and eliminate them one by one. Cy Young and his group also run out of ammunition. The guards corner them. The leader points a weapon at him but doesn't want to kill him. He says the game will never end and no one in the universe can stop it. It seems the story continues. Stay tuned for the 3rd part, and that was the end of our story. See you in the next video.